My name is Luciano Rossetti, and I've been happily married to Lily for a remarkable 15 years. Together, we've raised two delightful preteen daughters who continue to hold a deep affection for their dear old dad. In my own perception, I embody the qualities of an alpha male, someone who asserts himself confidently and refuses to entertain any nonsense. Yet, amidst this assertiveness, I harbor a profound respect and care for my wife, recognizing her as a precious gem in the tapestry of our relationship. I firmly believe in empowering my wife to take charge and assert her independence, albeit within certain boundaries. My upbringing, heavily influenced by the traits inherited from my father, has instilled in me a towering physical presence, standing at an imposing 6 feet 6 inches and weighing in at a solid 265 pounds of muscle. However, beyond the surface bravado lies a man who values partnership and cherishes the harmony of our marital bond. Despite my imposing stature, I'm more teddy bear than grizzly unless someone pushes the wrong button. Lily's seen glimpses of this side of me before, when a few unsavory characters got a little too friendly with her. She's undeniably beautiful, curves in all the right places, legs that go on for miles, a tiny waist, and a face that stops men in their tracks. It's no surprise they can't resist a good stare or a flirtatious remark, which, to be honest, gets my hackles up. Jealousy is one of my flaws, a fiery beast that's not always easy to tame. Years of self-control haven't quite extinguished the embers. Lily's been witness to 2 full-blown jealousy meltdowns in our 15 years together. She knows exactly what I'm capable of. Twice, on separate nights out, some overconfident guys wouldn't take no for an answer when Lily politely declined their dance requests, explaining each time that she was with me. Ignoring her clear refusal, they grabbed her arm, pulling her out of her seat right in front of me. I guess they figured a big guy like me wouldn't put up a fight, a colossal mistake on their part. The first incident happened when we were enjoying a quiet evening, catching up on the latest with our daughters. My jaw clenched when this lunk of a guy had the nerve to grab Lily's hand and yank her out of our booth. Before he could even reach the dance floor, I was between them. In a move owned from years of suppressing my temper, I dislocated his shoulder and escorted him back to our table where he whimpered in pain. We left shortly after. No need to stick around for further drama. As I mentioned, disrespect is a red line for me, and jealousy is my Achilles heel. So here's the question, knowing my temper, why would Lily let this happen again? Update, suspicion gnawed at me on our recent date night, despite my unwavering love for her. A few unusual things were happening, deviations from our 15-year routine that set off my internal alarm. Her appearance underwent a dramatic transformation after the new boss arrived at her office. Suddenly, she was dressing to impress, a stark contrast to her usual comfort-first style. Our intimate life also took an unexpected turn for the passionate, with her initiating things, a welcome change, but also a change of pace. Late-night texts and an increased number of work meetings became the norm. Of course, she had perfectly reasonable explanations for everything, but my gut wouldn't be silenced. To quell my mounting suspicion without causing unnecessary drama, I discreetly hired a private investigator with strict instructions to keep me in the dark until they had something concrete. The hope, the desperate plea lodged deep within me, was that I was simply being an overprotective husband. 3 agonizing months later, a manila folder arrived on my doorstep, its contents the news I dreaded. Video, audio, photos. The evidence spoke volumes. I steeled myself, reviewed the incriminating material, and then contacted my lawyer, Mac. "Divorce papers, please," I instructed, "and have them ready by Wednesday afternoon." My plan was a surprise attack, catching them off guard on their usual Thursday night date. While they thought I was conveniently out of town, the approaching Thursday night cast a long shadow, a stark contrast to the giddy anticipation that usually accompanied our date nights. Tonight, however, the air crackled with a different kind of energy, a cold, calculated tension that only I was privy to. For weeks, a nagging suspicion had gnawed at the edges of my mind, a discordant note in the symphony of our seemingly perfect marriage. Lily, my beautiful, brilliant wife, had always been the picture of devotion. She juggled motherhood with the demands of her executive assistant role at ease, a testament to her strength and organizational skills. Our intimate life had been passionate, a haven of shared desire. So, why did this disquieting feeling linger? The answer, as it turned out, was a tangled web of deceit woven in stolen moments between emails and text messages. A discreet yet invaluable source, a ghost in the periphery of my professional life, had provided the key. He'd unearthed the evidence, a digital trail leading straight to Lily's infidelity. My gut churned, a cocktail of betrayal and disbelief. This wasn't just a fling, a momentary lapse in judgment. This was a calculated rendezvous, orchestrated with a boldness that left me speechless. The audacity of this man, whoever he was, to think he could waltz into our lives and snatch away a piece of my happiness, was infuriating. My carefully constructed plan unfolded with the precision of a well-oiled machine. The venue, a secluded corner table in a dimly lit restaurant, had been secured with a generous tip. Lily, blissfully unaware of the storm brewing beneath the surface, believed I was on a business trip, miles away. Days earlier, a covert software had infiltrated her phone, a silent observer capturing every digital whisper. Texts, explicit and suggestive, flowed between her and this man, a living testament to their burgeoning secret. Each word, a fresh gash, deepened the chasm that had opened between us. The incriminating evidence wasn't limited to text messages. The software, a marvel of modern technology, had even managed to snag audio recordings of their clandestine conversations. The sound of her voice, laced with a thrill I hadn't heard in years, sent a fresh wave of nausea washing over me. The details, the rendezvous time, the restaurant reservation, every piece of the puzzle clicked into place. The final text, a vulgar directive regarding attire, was a sickening confirmation of their intentions. My hand clenched into a fist, the urge to smash something, anything, a palpable presence in the air. This wasn't just heartbreak. It was a violation, a calculated dismantling of the trust we'd built over the years. Thursday night loomed, a battleground where the facade of our marriage would crumble. My arrival at the restaurant, a calculated surprise, would mark the first act in this carefully orchestrated performance. A subtle threat, delivered with icy calm, would be the stage whisper just before the curtain rose. The presentation of the divorce papers, a tangible symbol of the shattered vows, would be the final, devastating blow. My heart, once a haven of love and contentment, now pulsed with a cold fury, a thirst for a justice as sharp and final as the betrayal I'd endured. The impending confrontation gnawed at me. While a part of me clung to the belief that Lily wouldn't truly desire a divorce, another, far more primal instinct, roared for retribution. The knowledge that my actions would leave an indelible scar, reshape her life forever, held no weight in the face of the excruciating pain she'd inflicted. Some might advocate for forgiveness, a clean slate for the sake of our children, the remnants of a 15-year love story. But rationality was a distant echo in the storm raging within. Perhaps a touch of immaturity, a sprinkle of jealousy, a generous helping of alpha male possessiveness, whatever the cocktail. The idea of another man sharing my life, even as a dutiful wife, was anathema. Love, it seemed, had curdled into a bitter potion. The very thought of touching her, the woman I once adored, sent shivers of revulsion down my spine. The intimacy we once shared was a shattered relic, replaced by a cold, steely resolve. My support network, a silent guardian angel, kept me apprised of their movements. Thursday night, the preordained night of their rendezvous, arrived, and with it, the confirmation I craved. Steel myself, I thought, squaring my shoulders as I parked the car. A practiced smile for the hostess, a deep cleansing breath to tamp down the inferno within. Lily, a vision of sculpted beauty in a far too revealing dress, sat across from her paramour. A primal rage flared. That dress, never worn for me, was a glaring betrayal. The dissonance was maddening, the picture of a devoted wife shattered by a calculated display of allure meant for another. Quietly, I plotted my approach. Weaving through the tables, I materialized beside them, a phantom in their blissful bubble. The metamorphosis on Lily's face was a kaleidoscope of emotions: shock, mortified fear, a guilt so raw it hung heavy in the air. Her companion, blissfully unaware of the impending storm, simply shot me an irritated glance. Showtime. Lily, I began, a wide, insincere grin plastered across my face. Enjoying your little date night? Her escort, ever clueless, stammered a question, echoing the lie Lily had fabricated moments before. Oh, Jeremy here, she purred, a touch too eager, a touch too practiced, asked me to discuss some work matters. Join us, Jeremy. This is my husband, Luciano. I had to hand it to her. She was quick on her feet. The drink I'd pre-ordered arrived, a silent sentinel to the unfolding drama. Ignoring her flimsy cover story, I raised my glass in a sardonic toast. To an interesting evening, I declared, a sly smile playing on my lips, and new beginnings. Lily squirmed under my gaze, but I wasn't finished. Turning to her oblivious companion, I inquired, Jeremy, ever wonder what's the secret to a happy marriage, especially one that's lasted 15 years? He, bless his clueless heart, readily offered an answer. Well, he chuckled, my wife and I always say honesty and trust are key. A cruel satisfaction curdled in my gut. Indeed, I agreed, my voice dripping with veiled threat, honesty and trust. Married are you, Jeremy? The answer, gleaned from the meticulous report I possessed, rolled effortlessly off my tongue. Yes, actually, for 20 years. 4 wonderful kids, ranging from 5 to 13. He seemed genuinely surprised, a flicker of unease crossing his features. Excellent point, Jeremy, I continued, my gaze burning a hole into Lily's facade. Now, Lily, darling, wouldn't you agree? Honesty and trust, the bedrock of a strong marriage? The ball, as they say, was now firmly in her court. The air crackled with a tension as thick as the smoke from the nearby cigar lounge. Lily, usually the picture of composure, fidgeted under my gaze. Absolutely, darling, she chirped, a touch too eager. Honesty and trust are the cornerstones of any healthy marriage. Wouldn't you agree? Of course, she just claimed this very dinner was a business affair, a convenient lie that hung heavy in the air. My gaze flickered between them, taking a perverse pleasure in their discomfort. As I sipped my drink, a calculated pause stretched between us. So I finally drawled, the question hanging in the air like a guillotine blade. How long has this little charade been going on? Lily's carefully constructed facade flickered. She bristled, her voice edged with a defensive tremor. Honey, she hissed, this is a business meeting. You're making things incredibly uncomfortable with your boss. Please, don't let your jealousy get the better of you. You know me better than that. Her little performance was almost believable, but the tremor in her voice, the nervous dart of her eyes, it all betrayed her. Her boss, bless his clueless heart, seized the opportunity. Indeed, Luciano, he boomed, puffing out his chest in a misguided attempt at authority. This is strictly business. A few upcoming changes within the company, that's all. Lily has been invaluable in helping me navigate them. He shot me a condescending smile. Apologies if there's been a misunderstanding, my friend. Professional boundaries are paramount to me, especially when dealing with a married woman. I feigned remorse, my voice dripping with mock sincerity. Oh, absolutely, my apologies. So you're saying you've never, under any circumstances, taken my wife out on a date? Purely business, is it? A bead of sweat trickled down Lily's temple as she chimed in, her voice brittle. Absolutely, Luciano. There's nothing more to it than a business dinner. This was the crux of the matter, the question that held the key to our future. Truth or consequences? Lily, I said, my voice low and dangerous, is that truly the case? Is this strictly business? Has there ever been anything more? I already knew the answer, a gut feeling gnawing at me, but I needed to hear it from her lips. She met my gaze, a flicker of defiance quickly extinguished by a wave of guilt. Absolutely not, darling, she stammered, her voice barely a whisper. Only business meetings. I would never be involved with another man, especially not my own boss. Please, don't be so immature. A pathetic attempt at regaining control, a desperate bid for normalcy. I played the wounded husband, lowering my head in mock contrition. I apologize, Jeremy, I mumbled. Jealousy can be a real beast, you know. Seeing you with Lily, such a beautiful woman, well, I trailed off, leaving the rest unsaid, a carefully crafted picture of insecurity. Jeremy, visibly relieved that I seemed to be appeased, patted me on the back with a hearty laugh. No need to apologize, Luciano. If my wife looked that stunning and was out with a stranger, well, I can't say I wouldn't feel a twinge of jealousy myself. His words, meant to be reassuring, were a knife to my already wounded heart. With the tension seemingly diffused, I delivered the final blow. A discreet signal to a man stationed near the bar. He approached our table, a manila folder clutched in his hand. A silent exchange, a flicker of recognition in his eyes. Then he was gone. All eyes turned to him, a current of curiosity crackling between Lily and Jeremy. With a slow, deliberate movement, I placed the folder on the table. Before revealing its contents, I leaned towards Lily, my voice a mere whisper laced with a world of pain. Lily, I murmured, you know how much I loved you. You were my everything. But love betrayed leaves only ashes in its wake. And these photos, I continued, carefully extracting a picture from the folder, are a stark reminder of the love you so carelessly discarded. The years, the memories, all tarnished by your deceit. The photos, stark and unforgiving, lay splayed across the table like a macabre deck of cards. Each image, an 8 by 10 testament to the betrayal that festered within me, ripped another page from the carefully constructed narrative of our marriage. The air, thick with a cocktail of shock and fury, hung heavy as Lily's gasp echoed through the dimly lit restaurant. Her hands flew to her mouth, a futile attempt to silence the scream trapped within. Across from her, Jeremy, his bluster fading, sputtered incoherently. "Where did you get those?" he demanded, his voice an off-key echo in the sudden quiet. I met his gaze with a chilling indifference, the words a mere formality. "Silence," I rasped, the single word resonating with the cold finality of a slammed door. My gaze drifted back to the photos, a morbid fascination pulling me in. Each image, a grotesque caricature of intimacy, was a fresh wound on the tapestry of our lives. I spoke, my voice devoid of emotion, a detached observer narrating a scene from a foreign film. "Intriguing, wouldn't you say, Lily? Quite the performance you put on there." I pointed to the first picture, a tableau of humiliation etched in glossy detail. Lily, tears now streaming down her face, choked out a desperate plea. "Stop it, please," she sobbed, her voice cracking with despair. The other patrons, initially drawn to the commotion, quickly averted their eyes, the unfolding drama far too raw to witness. It was a performance, yes, but not mine. Lily, the once vibrant woman I loved, was now playing the role of the penitent sinner, the weight of her transgression finally settling upon her. She, in her moment of desperation, grasped for a lifeline, a way to escape the wreckage of her own making. "It's not what it seems," she pleaded, the familiar refrain of a cornered animal. A cruel amusement flickered across my face. "Not what it seems, Lily." My voice, a low growl, sent shivers down her spine. "Is this another lie you plan to weave? Deception seems to be your forte these days, but allow me to save you both the trouble." Leaning forward, I addressed them both, my voice dropping to a conspiratorial whisper. "Hours of footage, Lily," I began, listing the incriminating evidence with a detached coldness. "Videos, audio, texts, emails, a veritable treasure trove of your infidelity. Let's just say your hidden desires were a revelation, a side of you I never even suspected existed. The financial toll of acquiring this arsenal of proof was a mere blip on the radar compared to the emotional devastation I endured." "Legally obtained," I concluded, placing the documents on the table with a decisive thud. No room for doubt here. The charade was over. Now came the reckoning. I slid a single document across the table, its weight a physical manifestation of the shattered vows that bound us. "Lily," I said, my voice devoid of warmth, "this is where it ends. Your little fling has detonated our marriage, leaving behind nothing but ashes. The love I once held for you is a casualty of your deceit." The pain, a white-hot inferno in my chest, threatened to consume me. "Sign it," I commanded, gesturing towards the divorce papers. "The notary is conveniently stationed at the bar. Sign now, or I unleash the full fury of this evidence. Your parents, your friends, the girls, they'll all be treated to a front-row seat in the theater of your betrayal." My tone softened a fraction, a sliver of mercy amidst the storm. "The girls," I continued, my voice catching slightly, "they stay with me. No way will they be exposed to your duplicity and disrespect." My gaze shifted to Jeremy, a pathetic figure caught in the crossfire. "You, my soon-to-be ex-colleague," I addressed him with a sardonic smile, a word to the wise. "Get her to sign. Otherwise, your wife and your career will be collateral damage in this war. The choice is yours." I pushed back from the table, the weight of the decision hanging heavy in the air. This wasn't about revenge, not entirely. It was about reclaiming control, about severing the ties that bound me to a lie. "Let's get this over with," I sighed, a weary resignation settling over me. "Sign, and then you can have the dubious pleasure of each other's company." The air crackled with a tension so thick it felt like a tangible entity wrapping itself around us. My words hung heavy in the air, a declaration of finality. Lily, her face a mask of despair, crumpled under the weight of my pronouncement. The thought of losing our daughters, the very foundation of our family life, was a blow she couldn't seem to recover from. Tears streamed down her face, each drop a testament to the devastation she'd wrought. Her boyfriend, Jeremy, a man who moments ago exuded a smug confidence, now resembled a cornered animal, his bravado replaced by a gnawing fear. Lily, desperate, launched into a familiar script. The pleas, the justifications, the promises, all hollow echoes of a love story gone sour. "It's not what it seems," she cried, her voice a desperate plea. "Just let me explain. We can fix this, Luciano. It was a mistake, a lapse in judgment. Please forgive me." The words, once endearing in their sincerity, now rang hollow, as empty as the promises they carried. Ignoring her pleas, I rose from my chair, my body stiff with a mix of anger and exhaustion. "Restroom," I announced, my voice devoid of warmth. "Papers signed when I return. If they're not, unleashing chaos is merely the tip of the iceberg." Leaving her in a desolate heap of tears, and Jeremy in a state of jittery panic, I retreated to the cool anonymity of the restroom. The silence was a stark contrast to the emotional storm raging within me. In my absence, a desperate strategy unfolded at our table. Jeremy, keenly aware of the potential fallout, knew he couldn't afford for these incriminating videos to see the light of day. He leaned across the table, his voice urgent, a stark contrast to his earlier bluster. "Lily," he hissed, "sign them now. For now. Tell him a week, just a week to talk to him, to explain, to convince him of your love. Therapy, couples counseling, whatever it takes. But make him wait. Tell him it's the least he can do after 15 years for a single mistake. It's our best shot." Lily, her voice trembling, echoed his plan. "Honey," she whimpered, "I love you. Please, give me one more chance. A week, that's all I ask. Let me come home. Let me talk to you." Tears welled up in her eyes, a performance that would have once tugged at my heartstrings. Now, all I saw was a desperate attempt to salvage a life built on a foundation of lies. But Jeremy's words resonated. The girls. Could I, in good conscience, uproot them from the only home they'd ever known? After what felt like an eternity, I returned to the table. Lily's hopeful gaze met mine, a fragile plea for a reprieve. "Honey," she began, her voice barely a whisper, "I'll do whatever you want. Sign the papers, anything. But could we have a week? Just a week before you make anything final? Can I come home, be with the girls? 1 week, Luciano. That's all I ask." I locked eyes with her, searching for a flicker of sincerity, a hint of remorse. Perhaps it was there, buried beneath the layers of deceit. With a sigh heavy with the weight of my decision, I spoke. 1 week, I conceded, but under certain conditions. You'll stay in the guest room. No contact beyond what's necessary for the girls. And after that week, the papers go to my lawyer. A flicker of relief crossed her face, a momentary reprieve before the inevitable storm. She reached for my hand, a ghost of the intimacy we once shared. The fleeting warmth in her touch sent a shiver down my spine. This wasn't a wife reaching for her husband, it was a woman clinging to a lifeline. With trembling hands, she signed the papers, the ink a stark symbol of the fractured vows that bound us. I tucked the document into my folder, a sense of finality settling over me. As I rose to leave, I reached for her hand, my touch impersonal, almost clinical. The wedding rings, once a symbol of our unwavering love, now felt like shackles. I slipped them off her finger, their cool metal a stark reminder of the warmth they once held. Tucking them into my pocket, I turned to leave, the weight of the past and the uncertainty of the future a heavy burden on the weight of the wedding ring, a constant companion for 15 years, felt like a foreign object in my hand. Lifting it high, I caught Lily's tear-filled gaze before letting it fall with a sickening clink into her half-empty wine glass. The way her breath hitched, the way her eyes widened, brought a sliver of satisfaction, a cold echo of the pain she'd inflicted. A small smile crept onto my face, a bitter reflection of the love that had once resided there. Turning my attention to Jeremy, the architect of my misery, I spoke with a voice laced with ice. "Enjoy your prize, Jeremy," I spat, the endearment sticking in my throat like sandpaper. "She's all yours now. Do whatever you please with her, take her wherever you like. But remember this," I leaned closer, my voice dropping to a low growl. "You've not just destroyed my marriage. You've endangered my children's perception of their mother. Their well-being hangs in the balance, and that, my friend, makes you beholden to me. Consider your future firmly in my grasp. Jeremy, once smug and self-assured, now resembled a deflated balloon, his bravado replaced by a gnawing fear. He bobbed his head silently, the weight of my words pressing down on him. Perhaps they'd envisioned a romantic rendezvous, a stolen evening of passion. Instead, I'd thrown a wrecking ball into their carefully constructed plan. As I turned to leave, Lily reached out, a desperate plea clinging to her touch. "Luciano, please," she choked out. "Let me come home. I just want to be with you." But her touch, once a source of warmth and comfort, now felt like a brand. I recoiled, my voice dripping with scorn. "Don't you dare," I hissed. "You're his plaything tonight, not mine. I wouldn't be caught dead with you. We'll talk, after he's done using you. Tonight, tomorrow, makes no difference to me. You have 1 week. 1 week to grovel, to explain, to attempt to salvage the wreckage of your own making. You disgust me, Lily. The thought of you being my wife, it fills me with shame." My words, harsh and unforgiving, were a far cry from the gentle, loving husband I'd once been. But honestly, at that moment, I didn't care. The anger, the seething rage that had threatened to consume me, I'd managed to keep it bottled up, a toxic cocktail simmering just beneath the surface. Granting her a week was a concession, a twisted game of waiting to see how this sordid affair would play out. The following morning, the silence of the house was deafening. Around 1 in the morning, I heard her return, a faint rustle of footsteps from the hallway. To her credit, she made a beeline for the guest room, the unspoken acknowledgement that our marital bed was no longer hers to share. The next morning, our paths crossed in the kitchen. As I poured myself a cup of coffee, the bitter taste mirroring the bitterness in my heart, she spoke, her voice barely a whisper. "Good morning, honey," she began, the endearment sounding foreign on her lips. "We need to talk." "There's nothing to talk about, Lily," I interrupted, my voice devoid of warmth. "The charade is over. I know everything. The duration, the details, the lies you whispered about me and the sanctity of our marriage. I saw firsthand how you fawned over him, how readily you discarded the vows we made." A flicker of shame crossed her face before she attempted a defense, a desperate plea for forgiveness. "Honey, listen," she stammered, her voice cracking. "There's more to the story. Spare me the excuses, Lily," I snapped. "You lied, you cheated, you made a mockery of everything we had. And to think you believed him to be more impressive? Those videos were a stark reminder of your betrayal, of the fool you turned me into. Don't waste your breath. If you have something new to offer, some shred of truth I haven't already unearthed, then speak. Otherwise, silence is your only option." The tables had turned. Gone was the pleading wife, replaced by a woman drowning in the consequences of her own actions. It wasn't me, the fool, Lily. It was you, blinded by a fleeting infatuation, who destroyed everything we built. The image of the life we built together, once a beacon of warmth and security, now flickered like a dying flame. Lily's tearful pleas, the words spilling from her lips, were a desperate attempt to mend the shattered fragments of our trust. "It wasn't supposed to hurt you," she choked out, her voice trembling with a mix of remorse and fear. "You need to believe that." But her words rang hollow. The truth, laid bare in those raw videos, had shattered the foundation of our relationship. "Keeping it hidden, Lily," I countered, my voice thick with emotion. "That's the crux of the issue. This wasn't a fleeting lapse, a momentary mistake. You made a conscious decision to weave a web of lies, to carry on a clandestine affair behind my back." A flicker of pain crossed her face, a momentary acknowledgement of the betrayal. "Infidelity can be forgiven," I conceded, my voice heavy with the weight of the decision. "We're all human, fallible creatures prone to mistakes. But this wasn't a mistake, Lily. This was a conscious choice, a deliberate act fueled by secrecy and deceit." Tina Turner's words echoed in my mind, a haunting melody that mirrored the turmoil within me. "What's love got to do with it?" The song taunted. Love, it seemed, wasn't enough. The bedrock of trust, once unshakable, now lay in ruins. Questions like hungry vultures circled in my mind. How many others had there been? How many betrayals hid beneath the veneer of our marriage? With each imagined scenario, a wave of disgust washed over me, stealing my breath and leaving me speechless. Lily, finally grasping the enormity of her actions, broke down completely. Gone were the justifications, the excuses. There was only the raw truth, a confession laced with shame. "All right," she choked out. "You're right. I was wrong. There was no one else, but forgiveness seems impossible after what I've done." Her voice was a broken whisper, a stark contrast to the carefree woman I once knew. "Therapy," she pleaded, a flicker of hope flickering in her eyes. "Maybe couples counseling? We can work on what's broken within me. Please, Luciano, don't throw everything away." I considered her words, the weight of the decision heavy on my shoulders. "You can seek help, Lily," I finally responded, my voice devoid of warmth. "I can stand by your side as you navigate this journey of self-discovery. But I can't be with a woman who so easily disregards the vows we made." The woman I loved, the woman who shared dreams and laughter with me, seemed to have vanished. In her place stood someone I barely recognized, someone who harbored emotions that were anathema to our marriage. "There are other women out there," I stated, the words bitter on my tongue, women who would cherish the opportunity to be with me. "You had your chance, Lily, and you squandered it." The next week would be a period of transition. Time for her to spend with the girls, to explain her departure in a way that wouldn't shatter their innocent world. I wouldn't slander her name, but honesty was paramount. Their understanding, fragile as it might be, depended on it. The divorce agreement, a legal formality outlining the division of our assets, would also grant her access to the girls. Their primary residence, however, would be with me. However, reckless behavior on her part, anything that could potentially damage their well-being, would result in stricter visitation limitations. "I'll treat you fairly, Lily," I promised, a flicker of my former affection stirring within me. "You'll have the opportunity to maintain a relationship with the girls. But understand this, I won't be your doormat. My priority is their happiness and well-being." Two questions, sharp and pointed, demanded answers. "Why, Lily?" I asked, my voice heavy with the weight of the betrayal. "Why risk everything for this fleeting affair?" A long pause followed, filled with the deafening silence of regret. "And was it worth it?" I pressed on, needing to understand the depth of her folly. The answer, when it finally came, would be a stark reminder of the devastation she had wrought, and the long road to healing that lay ahead. As for Jeremy, the man who unwittingly played a role in the destruction of our marriage, a different kind of reckoning awaited him. His punishment wouldn't be swift or dramatic, but the consequences of his actions would echo in the aftermath of betrayal. The remnants of our marriage hung heavy in the air. Lily, soon to be my ex-wife, deserved a fresh start, but ensuring her well-being also meant ensuring Jeremy, the architect of our demise, faced some form of retribution. My expectations for Jeremy were clear, a form of penance, a taste of the discomfort he'd inflicted on our family. I outlined a plan, a series of automatic payments that would cover Lily's rent and car payments for the next 3 years. This financial burden would be a constant reminder of his transgression. Let him squirm, I thought. Let him feel a fraction of the turmoil he'd caused. Despite the bitterness that clung to me like a shroud, a flicker of my former affection for Lily remained. I wanted her to land softly, to have a financial safety net as she navigated this new reality. The responsibility for her well-being, however, fell squarely on Jeremy's shoulders. He was the reason our life had imploded, and he would pay, not with physical harm, but with a constant drain on his resources. This arrangement, as I called it, was my twisted form of justice. It allowed Lily to get back on her feet without relying on me, the man she'd so deeply betrayed. The consequences for Jeremy, however, went beyond mere financial hardship. I made it abundantly clear that failure to comply would come at a steeper price. His job, his marriage to Sarah, even his physical safety, all hinged on his keeping his end of the bargain. The message was simple: get involved with a married woman, wreak havoc on a family, and face a reckoning. Perhaps the thrill of the forbidden wouldn't seem so appealing when weighed against the very real threat of losing everything. As the weeks turned into months, I stuck to my guns. Lily's visits with the girls were cordial, a fragile attempt to maintain normalcy in their lives. My respect for her, however, remained fractured. The shattered trust, like a broken mirror, could never be fully pieced back together. Jeremy, to his credit, kept up with the payments, the specter of my threats a constant reminder. Lily, on the other hand, grappled with the unanswered question, why? Therapy sessions offered little solace, the root cause of her infidelity shrouded in a fog of self-deception. She admitted her mistake, the fleeting thrill a poor substitute for the life she'd thrown away. But explanations, however heartfelt, couldn't erase the pain she'd inflicted. The vibrant love we once shared had dwindled to a faint ember. Lily now lived alone, the consequences of her actions playing out in her solitary existence. The thrill, the excitement she'd craved, had morphed into a hollow ache. Her punishment, far from my doing, was the loss of the love, the family, the life she'd so carelessly discarded. While the why remained a lingering question mark, the vengeance I craved had arrived in a more potent form. She was left to grapple with the ruins of her own choices, a stark reminder that some mistakes come with a price far steeper than mere financial compensation. I've made a mistake, and I have to confront it. Lily, I couldn't contain my emotions. I find myself questioning things. If you were truly happy with us, why did you dress in ways that could provoke desires? Why did you wear all those enticing outfits for him, but never for me? Perhaps, if you had invested that energy and passion into our relationship, we wouldn't find ourselves in this complicated situation. It just happened cannot be the only explanation. It wasn't a one-time occurrence. You repeatedly engaged in it, deliberately dressing to captivate him each time. Yet, you profess your love for me. I'm left bewildered, searching for genuine answers. I believe we all deserve clarity in this matter. It's not just about me, but about understanding what went wrong and how we can move forward. Thank you for listening.